The street boy's wrist caught the sunlight at exactly the wrong moment, and Chief Obiora Nnamdi's world stopped turning. That watch, that exact Patek Philippe with the tiny scratch shaped like Africa on its face, was supposed to be buried 6 feet underground with his son's body 20 years ago. But here it was, gleaming on the arm of a 15-year-old beggar outside the Murtala Muhammad Airport arrivals terminal, and suddenly everything Chief Nnamdi believed about his past, his grief, and his billions was about to crack wide open. If you enjoy thrilling African stories, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and tell us where you are watching from. Your support means the world to us. Chief Obiora Nnamdi was not a man who questioned reality. He built reality. He owned 7 oil blocks in the Niger Delta, controlled 40% of Nigeria's private aviation industry, and his name opened doors from Lagos to London. People called him the Eagle because when he flew into a room, smaller men scattered. His mansion in Banana Island had 18 bedrooms and a garage that held cars worth more than most villages. Forbes estimated his wealth at $2.3 billion, but people whispered the real number was higher, much higher. Chief Nnamdi wore custom Italian suits that cost what a teacher earned in 3 years, and he never, ever showed weakness. But every powerful man has a wound that money cannot stitch closed. For Chief Nnamdi, that wound had a name: Chukwuemeka, his firstborn son, his heir. The boy died at age 7 from complications during a routine surgery, and Chief Nnamdi buried him wearing that Patek Philippe, the same watch his own father had given him. It was tradition. The eldest son carries the family time forward. When Chukwuemeka died, Chief Nnamdi buried that tradition too. He never spoke the boy's name again. He had 3 other children from 2 other women, but none of them filled the hole. 20 years passed. The empire grew. The wound festered in silence. Now Chief Nnamdi stood frozen outside the airport, his security detail confused, his business partners waiting in the car, and his eyes locked on an impossible thing. The boy was thin, dressed in torn shorts and a faded Manchester United jersey. His feet were bare and dusty. He held a small wooden bowl and called out to travelers in broken English and Yoruba, asking for anything, offering prayers in return. But that watch, that ridiculous, expensive watch on his bony wrist, made no sense. Street boys don't wear $30,000 timepieces. Thieves would kill for less. Chief Nnamdi's driver approached. "Oga, we are late for the meeting." Chief Nnamdi raised one hand for silence. He walked toward the boy slowly, like approaching a wild animal. Other beggars scattered, recognizing power when they saw it. The boy looked up, and for one terrible second, Chief Nnamdi saw his dead son's eyes looking back at him. Same shape, same depth, but that was impossible. Grief plays tricks. Grief is a liar. "Where did you get that watch?" Chief Nnamdi's voice came out rough, unused to asking questions instead of giving orders. The boy glanced at his wrist, confused. "This? A man gave it to me, sir, long time ago." "What man?" "I don't remember his face, sir. I was small, very small." Chief Nnamdi's heart hammered against his ribs. "How small?" "Maybe 5 years old, sir. He found me crying near the cemetery. I was lost. He gave me this and told me to keep it safe. He said someone would come looking for it one day." The cemetery. Chukwuemeka Cemetery. "Show me the back of the watch." The boy hesitated, then turned his wrist. There, engraved in tiny letters, were the initials OCN. Obiora Chukwuemeka Nnamdi. His father's name, his son's name, his own initials. The world tilted. Chief Nnamdi grabbed the boy's arm, not gently, and examined the watch closer. There it was, the scratch shaped like Africa, right where it had always been. This was not a replica. This was not a coincidence. This was the exact watch he had placed on his dead son's wrist before the coffin closed. He remembered because he kissed that tiny scratch before letting go. "Sir, "You are hurting me," the boy whispered. Chief Nnamdi released him immediately. His hands were shaking. Chiefs do not shake. Eagles do not tremble. But nothing about this moment obeyed the rules. "What is your name?" Chief Nnamdi asked. "Emeka, sir." Emeka, short for Chukwuemeka, the name Chief Nnamdi had forbidden in his own house. "Come with me," Chief Nnamdi said. "Sir, I did not steal it, I swear." "I know. Just come." Chief Nnamdi's security team surrounded them as they walked to the convoy of black SUVs. Business partners stared. People took photos. By tomorrow, social media would be buzzing. Why did the billionaire Chief Nnamdi leave the airport with a street boy? What business could the eagle possibly have with a beggar? Inside the car, Chief Nnamdi sat in silence while Emeka pressed himself against the door, clearly terrified. The leather seats, the cool air conditioning, the tinted windows, everything was foreign to this child. Chief Nnamdi studied him. The boy was too old to be his buried son returned. That was madness. But the watch demanded an explanation, and Chief Nnamdi had built his empire on finding answers to impossible questions. "Are you going to kill me, sir?" Emeka's voice was barely a whisper. "No, I'm going to find out the truth." "About what, sir?" "About everything." They drove not to the office tower where a dozen businessmen waited, but to Chief Nnamdi's private hospital. He owned the building, staffed it with the best doctors money could buy, used it when he wanted absolute discretion. The board meeting could wait. The oil contracts could wait. This could not wait. Dr. Amina Bakare, Chief Nnamdi's personal physician for 15 years, met them at a private entrance. She took one look at Emeka and then at Chief Nnamdi's face, and she knew this was not a normal favor. "I need a DNA test," Chief Nnamdi said, "mine and his, and I need it done now, not next week, now." Dr. Bakare had seen Chief Nnamdi through illnesses, surgeries, and 3 near-death experiences. She knew when not to ask questions. "It will take a few hours for preliminary results, maybe less if I call in extra staff." "Do it." While nurses took samples from both of them, Chief Nnamdi watched Emeka's face. The boy endured the needles without complaint, but his eyes kept darting to the door like a trapped animal planning escape. Those eyes. Chief Nnamdi could not stop seeing his son in them, but he forced himself to think logically. Street children often resembled whoever you wanted them to resemble. The mind plays games when grief is involved. The watch was the only concrete thing, and watches could be stolen from graves. Maybe that's all this was, a grave robbery that took 20 years to surface. But what thief would give away their prize to a 5-year-old? "Sir," Emeka said suddenly, "can I ask something?" "Speak." "Why does this watch matter so much?" Chief Nnamdi leaned back in his chair. "How do you explain ghosts to a child? How do you admit that you buried your heart and now you might have found it walking the streets?" "It belonged to someone I loved, someone I lost." "I'm sorry, sir." The simple kindness in those words hit Chief Nnamdi harder than any business loss. When was the last time someone said sorry to him and meant it? People feared him, people flattered him, people used him, but kindness, that currency was rare in his world. "Tell me about yourself. Where are you from?" "I don't know, sir. I have no memory before the cemetery." "No parents? No family?" "No one, sir. I lived with different people on the streets. They taught me how to beg, how to stay alive. The watch was the only thing I kept that was mine." "Why didn't you sell it? You could have eaten for years." Emeka looked down at the watch, ran his finger over the scratch shaped like Africa. "The man who gave it to me said someone would come looking. I thought maybe that someone was my family. I thought if I kept it, they would find me." Chief Nnamdi's throat tightened. He turned away so the boy wouldn't see his face. Hours crawled past. Chief Nnamdi ignored 17 phone calls, canceled 3 meetings, and watched Emeka fall asleep in a hospital chair. The boy curled up small, protective even in sleep. Chief Nnamdi remembered Chukwuemeka sleeping like that, making himself tiny, as if he knew the world was dangerous even in dreams. "Stop it," Chief Nnamdi told himself. Stop seeing what you want to see. But the watch was real. The initials were real. The scratch was real. Dr. Bakare returned just after midnight. Her face was unreadable, which meant the news was complicated. Chief Nnamdi stood up. Every muscle in his body tensed. The preliminary results are clear, Dr. Bakare said quietly. There's no genetic match. He's not your biological son. Chief Nnamdi closed his eyes. Of course not. Dead children do not return. Wishes do not resurrect the buried. He felt foolish for even hoping. However, Dr. Bakare continued, and that single word made Chief Nnamdi's eyes snap open. There is a partial genetic match, approximately 25% shared DNA. What does that mean? It means he's related to you, not a son, but possibly a nephew, a cousin, someone from your bloodline. The room spun. Chief Nnamdi sat down hard. That's impossible. The test doesn't lie. Run it again. I ran it 3 times to be sure. The results are consistent. Chief Nnamdi looked at Emeka, still sleeping, still small, still impossibly wearing a dead boy's watch. If he wasn't Chukwuemeka, but he carried Nnamdi blood, then who was he? Chief Nnamdi's family tree was not complicated. He had 2 brothers, both dead, 1 sister living in Canada, some distant cousins he never spoke to. None of them had lost a child. None of them would have abandoned a boy to the streets. Unless they had. Unless there was a secret someone kept for 15 years. Wake him up, Chief Nnamdi said. Dr. Bakare touched Emeka's shoulder gently. The boy jerked awake, immediately defensive, then remembered where he was. He looked at Chief Nnamdi's face and seemed to understand that something had changed. The test shows we're related, bluntly Chief Nnamdi said. You carry my family blood. Do you understand what that means? Emeka shook his head. It means you're not nobody. It means you belong somewhere. It means I'm going to find out exactly where you came from and why you ended up on the streets wearing my son's watch. Your son's watch? Emeka touched it like it might burn him. I didn't know. I didn't steal it, I swear. I believe you, but someone put it on your wrist, and someone wanted me to find you. That's the only explanation that makes sense. Over the next 3 days, Chief Nnamdi deployed the same ruthless efficiency he used to crush competitors and build empires. He hired private investigators. He pulled hospital records. He questioned every cemetery worker who had been employed 20 years ago. He tracked down the funeral home director, now retired, and demanded answers. He threatened. He bribed. He promised things and then delivered them because chiefs do not make empty threats. And slowly, piece by piece, a story emerged that made Chief Nnamdi question everything he knew about the day he buried his son. The grave had been disturbed, not robbed, but opened professionally, surgically. The coffin had been lifted, examined, and resealed. This happened 3 days after the burial, late at night when no one was watching, or almost no one. One security guard remembered strange people at the cemetery, people who paid him to look the other way. He thought they were grave robbers. He took the money and kept silent for 20 years. But why would anyone open a child's grave? Chief Nnamdi found the answer in a place he never expected, his younger brother's medical records. Adeyase, his only sister, had kept them after the brother died. She never told Chief Nnamdi because he had cut him off years ago after a family dispute over inheritance. But when Chief Nnamdi showed up at her door in Canada with Emeka's photo, Adeyase's face went pale. I knew this day would come, she whispered. Tell me, Chief Nnamdi commanded. And she did.
20 years ago, Chief Nnamdi's younger brother, Obi, had gotten a young woman pregnant. She was from a poor family, a nobody by Nnamdi standards. Obi promised to marry her, but when Chief Nnamdi found out, he forbade it. The family name could not be mixed with common blood. Obi had responsibilities, expectations. The woman was paid off and disappeared. But Obi loved her, and when she gave birth to a son, Obi went to see the child in secret. He held his son once, just once, and knew he could never claim him without destroying his place in the family. Then Chukwuemeka died, and Obi, drowning in guilt and grief for both his nephew and his own abandoned son, made a desperate plan. He paid grave robbers to open the coffin. He took the watch from Chukwuemeka's wrist, and he gave it to his own son, a boy named Emeka, telling him that one day someone from the family would find him and recognize him. Then Obi fled. He couldn't live with what he'd done. He couldn't face Chief Nnamdi. He drank himself to death within a year. The woman, Emeka's mother, disappeared when the boy was 5. Maybe she died, maybe she ran. No one knew. And Emeka, with nothing but a watch and a memory of a cemetery, survived on the streets, waiting for a promise to come true. Chief Nnamdi sat in his sister's living room in Toronto, holding a letter Obi had written before he died. It explained everything. It begged forgiveness. It asked that someone care for the boy. "Why didn't you tell me?" Chief Nnamdi's voice was barely controlled. "You terrified us. You were so angry after Chukwuemeka died. You cut off anyone who reminded you of loss. I thought if I told you about Emeka, you would destroy him or destroy us for hiding him. So you let him live on the streets, my brother's son, our blood? I didn't know where he was. The mother took him and vanished. I searched for years. I thought he was dead too." Chief Nnamdi stood up. He wanted to rage. He wanted to break things. But Emeka was waiting back in Nigeria, and the boy had already lost enough years. "I'm taking him home," Chief Nnamdi said. "He's a Nnamdi. He belongs with family. Will you tell him the truth about his father? Eventually. Right now he needs to understand he's safe, that he's not alone anymore." Chief Nnamdi flew back to Lagos the next morning. He went straight to the hospital where Emeka was staying under guard. The boy was eating real food for the first time in years, and his eyes looked less frightened. "Pack your things," Chief Nnamdi said. "Where are we going, sir?" "Home. My home. Your home now." "I don't understand. You're my nephew, my brother's son, your family, and family does not sleep on the streets." Emeka's eyes filled with tears. "I have a family?" "Yes, and I'm sorry it took so long to find you." Moving a street boy into Banana Island caused exactly the chaos Chief Nnamdi expected. His other children resented the intrusion. His business partners questioned his judgment. Social media exploded with theories. Was this a publicity stunt? A secret son? A guilt offering? People talked, and Chief Nnamdi ignored them, because eagles do not explain themselves to chickens. But privately, Chief Nnamdi struggled. He had built his identity on strength, on never showing weakness, on keeping business and emotions separate. Emeka shattered all those walls just by existing. The boy asked questions. He laughed at things. He didn't understand that dinner should be silent and formal. He treated the housekeepers like friends instead of servants. He walked around barefoot because shoes still felt strange. And slowly, against all logic, Chief Nnamdi's mansion started to feel less like a museum and more like a home. One evening, 3 months after bringing Emeka home, Chief Nnamdi found the boy sitting in the garden, staring at the watch. It was the first time Emeka had worn it since learning its history. "It feels wrong now, knowing it was stolen from a grave, knowing it belonged to your son."
Chief Nnamdi sat beside him. "My brother gave it to you because he wanted you to be found. He couldn't give you his name while he was alive, but he gave you a key to open the door later. That watch brought you home. Do you wish I was Chukwuemeka instead of me?" The question hit Chief Nnamdi like a punch. "No," he said, and meant it. "Chukwuemeka is gone. I will always mourn him. But you are here, and you are real, and you are mine to protect now. That's enough. Can I ask you something else? anything. Why did you build all this? Emeka gestured at the mansion, the grounds, the empire beyond the walls. Does it make you happy? No one had ever asked Chief Nnamdi that question. Happiness was not a metric he measured. Success, power, control, those mattered. But happiness? I built it to prove I could, Chief Nnamdi said honestly. I built it so no one could ever hurt me again. Did it work? Chief Nnamdi looked at the boy, so small and yet somehow so brave, and he laughed. It was the first real laugh he'd released in 20 years. No, he admitted, it didn't work at all. Then maybe you built the wrong thing. Out of the mouths of children comes wisdom that billionaires cannot buy. Chief Nnamdi enrolled Emeka in the best school in Lagos. He hired tutors to fill the gaps from years without education. He bought the boy everything he needed. But he noticed Emeka still slept with his old Manchester United jersey under his pillow. Some things, Chief Nnamdi realized, could not be replaced because they carried memories of survival. Business partners noticed Chief Nnamdi changing. He left meetings early to have dinner with Emeka. He attended the boys' school events. He stopped working 18-hour days because Emeka asked why he was never home. People whispered that the eagle was growing soft. Let them whisper. Chief Nnamdi discovered he no longer cared. 1 year after finding Emeka, Chief Nnamdi made a decision that shocked everyone who knew him. He announced a new foundation, the Chukwuemeka and Emeka Nnamdi Foundation for Lost Children. Half his wealth would go toward finding, housing, and educating street children across Nigeria. Every child would receive not just food and shelter, but family. Someone who would look for them if they went missing, someone who would care if they disappeared. This is madness, his financial advisors said. You will lose billions. I've already lost more than that. I lost 20 years I could have known my nephew. I lost my brother to shame. I lost my son to death. Money cannot bring back the dead, but it can save the living. The foundation opened centers in Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt, and Kano. Within 3 years, they had taken in over 5,000 children. Each one received a watch, not a Patek Philippe, but something simple and sturdy. Each watch was engraved with coordinates of the center, so if they ever got lost again, they could find their way back. Emeka, now 18, stood beside Chief Nnamdi at the opening of the 10th center. He still wore the original watch, the one that had changed everything. Chief Nnamdi wore a new one, engraved with words Emeka had chosen. Family finds a way. Do you ever regret it, giving up so much money? Chief Nnamdi looked at the children running in the courtyard, laughing, fed, safe. He thought about his empty mansion before Emeka arrived. He thought about the silence that had filled his life for 2 decades. I spent 20 years building an empire that felt like a prison. You showed me what I was really building toward. Not wealth, not power, but this, connection, purpose, family. That's what your brother wanted, Emeka said quietly. That's why he gave me the watch. He wanted me to find family. And you did. And in finding you, I found myself. The evening sun cast long shadows across the courtyard. Somewhere in the distance, Lagos continued its chaos, its noise, its struggle. But here, in this center, children who had been invisible now laughed loud enough to be heard. And Chief Obiora Nnamdi, the billionaire who once ruled with fear, discovered that being known as a father was a greater title than being called an eagle.
The watch on Emeka's wrist caught the light, the tiny scratch shaped like Africa still visible after all these years. 2 boys, both named Emeka, both loved by men who could not save them in time. But one man's desperate choice had created a bridge between death and life, between grief and hope, between a billionaire's empty empire and a family finally made whole. This story became legend in Lagos. They told it in markets and boardrooms. They whispered it at society events. The chief who left the airport with a beggar and returned with a son. The watch that refused to stay buried. The blood that called out until it was heard. And every child in the foundation learned that watches do more than tell time. They mark moments when everything changes. When someone decides to look twice. When the impossible walks up to you wearing your past and offers you a different future. Chief Nnamdi's other children eventually accepted Emeka, some faster than others. His daughter even admitted that the house felt more alive with Emeka in it. His business partners adjusted to his new priorities. The empire continued, but now it served something larger than one man's ambition. And late at night, when the mansion finally grew quiet, Chief Nnamdi sometimes stood in what used to be Chukwuemeka's room, now Emeka's room, and watched the boy sleep, still curled up small, still protecting himself in dreams, but safe now, found now, home now. If this story touched you, drop a comment telling us what you think. Where in the world are you watching from? Have you ever found something you thought was lost forever? If you enjoy thrilling African stories, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Your support keeps these stories alive, and there are many more tales to tell. Stay kind, stay strong, and keep watching, because every lost thing is searching for the person brave enough to find it.